I can't reach.
Okay. And this is where we make a mess together.
That's what I'm calling.
I'm sorry. So robot is where we're working on the robot directory, and the latest development is the new ballot.row procedure for voting, which I started with Dan's ballot, which he did a verbatim translation of Solidity to Rholang. And there are a lot of things. It had a delegate mechanism in it, but it didn't make sense for the Rholang implementation, so it just wasn't used. And so I developed a different delegate mechanism for liquid as a basis for liquid democracy. Okay, and I don't know how familiar with Rholang you are.
I am not very familiar with the Rholang. Somewhat familiar, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I can understand quoted process. A difference between a quoted process and a process and a message.
So that's good. That's good because many of us are challenged in that regard. We make mistakes constantly. But I created the unforgeable name ballot. Right, and then I insert that into the registry.
Okay, ballot is a channel in this case.
Yeah, it's a name, unforgeable name, which is a channel.
And yeah, and trace is a channel, and std out is a channel. Okay.
Right. So those are the three names I'm starting with: ballot, trace, and standard out. Oh, I do have standard out. I thought I just had trace. Never mind. Anyway, that's I got from that was from Dan's version where we had that. Okay, so then I insert arbitrary here. I put this in the registry. You understand the registry?
No, I don't have.
Okay, well, it has a lookup function. It has an insert arbitrary function, and I'm inserting into the registry the address of ballot. Okay, and I suppose I kind of goofed here. I think I should have put this as a bungle.
Bungle.
Make bungle plus you understand bungle plus?
No, that's concatenation.
No, the bungle plus. No,
shouldn't it be bungle, not bingle?
Hey, Aki, welcome.
Hello.
Okay, so if you look at the cheat sheet,
Rholang cheat sheet.
Okay, you'll see that what the bungle does is it restricts access. And the bungle plus you can read it, but you can't write it. Okay, a contract is a read operation, right? When you invoke a contract, you're doing a read. So we want to let people execute the contract, but we don't want them to be able to change, to do a read on the contract of some other pattern or the same pattern that could compete for, if somebody else read on it on the ballot contract, they would be usurping the creation of proposals being created.
Okay, so it's a locking.
We don't want anybody else reading on ballot, right?
Right.
Because the ballot contract is going to take a set of proposal names and it's going to return a ballot. Well, actually, it returns two capabilities. It returns an admin capability and a tally capability.
Admin and tally.
Okay, and what's admin? Well, admin's a new unforgeable name we created here, and tally is a new unforgeable name we created here. So by returning those capabilities here, we're giving people the ability to read these contracts that are defined in ballot here. Admin, give right to vote, is a signature that takes a name and return. Now, that creates a new voter. A new vote channel and a new delegate channel.
Okay.
Okay, and I put nil as the vote, so they haven't voted.
So it's empty at the moment.
Well, it's not empty, it has a nil. If we read it, we'll get a nil.
Yeah.
But we have to put something there in order to be able to read it. If we want to read the current vote, we have to have written something there. And nil means they haven't voted. And I write in nil also the delegate channel, meaning they haven't assigned a delegate. Okay, and then I read the voter channel and I write it back again. Which is a voter channel has a voter channel I initialized here to be an empty map. So it starts out as an empty map. And then when somebody with an admin capability does a give right to vote, it reads the current voters map, which is empty the first time, and it does a union of the voters map with the key of the name and the value of the voter. And I guess I store the voter there so that if a person's a delegate, we can find his voter and use it to do a vote, to find the vote.
Okay.
And then I return a voter object here.
Oh, what does union do?
Union combines this map with the voters is going to be a map that has the existing voters in it.
It adds to the map, basically.
Right, it adds entries to the map. So
it's like a join.
Yeah, I guess we could have. We probably could have used something else besides union here. We could have used a set, a map. Oops, I didn't mean to click on that. What did I do? Yeah, I could have used a set. 2, 4. Okay, sometimes I use a union because I want to be able to override an existing name, or I don't know. I think I'm doing it backwards here. In other words, if you created 2 voters with the same name, I guess that would be a bug here. And if I did a union one way or the other, I could prevent you from overriding it, what was there. In this case, it would allow you to overwrite what was there. Okay, and then I return a voter object. So, and the voter object is a capability that when somebody has a vote operation, one of the things they can do is vote and they vote for one of the proposals given in the proposal name set.
Can you explain bundle again? Bundle.
The bundle just makes it
restricts read or write access.
Write only. It makes the name write only. Okay, so you can do a bundle minus, which means read only, a bundle plus, which means write only, bundle 0, which means you can't do either thing with it.
Immutable, basically, until stated otherwise.
Yeah, we use a bundle 0, and I have to look to see exactly how we do that. If you want to be able to test to see if you have this capability or not, but you don't want to be able to do anything with it. In other words, the unforgeable address is a secret.
Okay.
So you can test the value of it, and I'm not exactly sure how you do that. You can check for equivalence. It's like if I say, can you vote on this proposal? You can say, here's a bundle 0 of my voter object, whatever. It proves I can write, but it doesn't give you permission to write.
But
and that's something I need a little clarity on myself as to. It made sense at one point, and now I'm not exactly sure why. And then a bundle of the proc that can do both. That's like a no-op. You don't need a bundle to. You normally can both read and write something.
So it's either plus, minus, or 0.
Right. So, okay, so a person can vote, and we check to see if the proposal names, which is the set passed to the ballot, contains the proposal. And that, of course, is a set operation. Contains. And then, so we So if the proposal exists, we read the person's current vote, and then we just trace out what the old vote was.
Vote was old vote.
And then we write to the vote channel the proposal they voted on. So this is a sentiment gathering, liquid democracy thing where you can change your vote. You can change your mind. You can be convinced.
Okay. I get it. Contract.
Okay, and then we, so anytime we read from the vote channel, we have to write to it. Otherwise, there's nothing there. And then we have a choice method on the voter capability, which simply tells you what the person's choice was in the ballot. So if the vote that the person has, we read the vote and then we write it back again because we're not going to change it. We read it, we have to write it back. If the vote was nil, then we say, well, look at the delegate. And we're not going to change the delegate, so we have to write it back again. Okay. And we look to see if the delegate is nil, or prior delegates contain the delegate. Okay, prior delegates is passed to the contract here. This is to avoid a loop. If you're my delegate and I'm your delegate, okay, we have a loop, and rather than go on forever, we have to stop if we come up with the same, if we get a delegate that we've already considered. We return nil as the vote. Else, we call the same method, and this time using the delegate's voter object, and we add to the prior delegates the delegate, and we return the vote of the delegate, which goes through the same logic. And if the delegate has a delegate, it'll use the delegate of the delegate's votes on this issue. And at this point, we had a delegate associated with each issue individually, or each ballot. And one of the things we're going to do is allow you to have a default delegate and such. Okay, and then it simply returns the vote. Returns the vote after, ultimately the voter or the voter's delegate.
Why do you declare a voter contract twice?
Well, it's a voter capability, and it has two operations. It has a vote operation, and it has a choice operation.
And the two operations are different.
Yes. In other words,
so when you
this will only match this will the signature that calls this requires that the first argument is the process choice, or the name of the process choice, whatever.
Okay, so the type of contract, basically.
Yeah, you're specifying a pattern here in Rholang. It's like up here, the pattern was for the ballot was proposal names and a set. So this contract will only get called if the first argument is a set. Otherwise, it won't be called. Okay, and
basically a list.
Similarly, this contract, admin contract, will only be called if the first argument is give right to vote. And it has 3 arguments. We could have concatenated the atom. We could have put the give right to vote. We could have made the contract name here a list with the admin permission and the string give right to vote. But this pattern, the first argument, we tell it what function we're performing. So I can have as many admin contracts as I want with different functions.
So what's that on the ballot contract definition? You have proposal names and you have a slash and a backslash.
That's and, yeah. And that's it. It has to match the pattern of being a process and a set. So this will bind the first element to HD and the rest of the elements of the set to tail. We'll bind them to those names. But I don't really care about that. The only reason I'm doing this is to ensure that the first argument is a set. And really, that's borrowed from Dan's code. I'm not sure that it's a good idea to put that requirement on it here, unless you're going to do something different if it's not a set. Because if you send something that's not a set, it won't do anything, and it won't give an error or anything. It just will never get invoked.
It will return false, basically.
No, it won't return it. It'll never return. The message will never be set unless this pattern is matched of having 2 arguments, the first one being a set.
Okay.
Okay, if you do anything else, it'll just never return and never give an error. Unless you ultimately define a contract that, it'll stay there waiting for someone to read it. And if nobody ever reads it, it'll just stay there. Okay, so are you following that now? The voter has a vote capability and a choice capability. And that first argument is the function that we're performing using the voter capability. Okay, Mom?
Can you repeat that last thing?
Okay. The voter capability listens for a message that has 1, 2, 3, 4 arguments. The first one, vote, it does this. If the first one is choice, it does this. If the first one is anything else, it never does anything.
Okay.
I'm sorry, there's a voter delegate also. Third thing it can do. Okay. And that seems to bother you.
No, nothing so far. It makes sense. I just keep looking at the cheat sheet and looking at the code. And yeah, it does make sense.
Okay, so and the delegate, simple function. I read the map of the voters. I write it back again. I look up the name, pass to the voter, and if it finds the person is a voter on the issue, then it sets the delegate channel. What? Oh, yeah. I read here. I did a synchronize here. I read the voter channel and I read the prior delegate. I read what the delegate used to be. So that right now, if you there's nothing in the delegate channel at all. And here I'm writing into the I write into the delegate channel. Get name of the voter. Oh, right. So the voter object for the delegate is at the name.
Name is the current name. Okay.
And if I don't find the name, I print not found, and I write back to the delegate channel whatever the prior delegate was, which is probably nil. But, okay, and then I have the tally capability, which is returned when you create the ballot. And this basically loops through all the voters and counts up the votes. So I get, I create a count channel where I'm going to store the counts. And I create a loop name that I'm going to use for recursively going through the voters. So we have, I get the map of all the voters from the voter channel associated with this ballot. And I'm not going to change the voter, so I write it back again. So it's there for somebody else to use. Who might also be typing, doing the tally or whatever. And then I called a loop, giving it all the voters.
Okay.
The whole map of voters. And I get back a return of the tallies, how many votes for each guy. Okay, and the loop contract It takes the rest of the names. First time it's all of the names, and returns an acknowledgement, I guess. And I get, so I do make a new return channel each time through the loop, so that there's not multiple. Since I may not have to do that. Maybe overkill. I could probably use the same return channel, but that can be scary if you have things in parallel. We want to make sure that when we read the return, that we get the right return. Okay, so then we do a match on the map that's passed to us, the rest of the map. And if it's empty, we read the counts from the count channel and we send to the original return channel the counts. If it matches a named voter followed by the rest of the voters, this binds one of the voters to name and his voter object to voter on the map. Then I call the voter choice.
And when you do a dot 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 in a map, what does that mean?
This means that that any number of additional elements, the rest of the elements. Okay, and that works in a list.
Okay, so the tail is basically the rest of the list of the map.
The rest of the map. Right.
Okay.
So what we matched here is we matched a name and a voter and everything else.
Yep,
All
That's
the other
the rest.
voters. Okay, so so given the voter, I called choice to find out what his vote was. And then I read his vote from the return channel that will tell us what he voted or what the delegate voted for him if he didn't vote. Right? We did that
right.
up here. We did. Here we define the voter choice, which returned the vote, returned the user's vote or the delegate's vote. If the voter vote was nil, it called the delegate and then recursively got the choice of the delegate and returned it. That's interesting. Same return. I use the same return here. I wonder if that's sometimes that can be a problem.
Once you use a ret, and sometimes you use return.
Yeah, well, it has to do with where I bound the name. I mean, here, the name was bound here. It's what was passed to me. Okay, and I definitely if I return the vote here, that'll be fine. Now, if I call here I'm passing that channel on to a recursive call. And eventually it's going to return. Yeah, so it's, there's no conflict here. Once it returns, it's not going to do anything else. There's only one return. I was worried down below here because every voter returns a vote. And I want to be sure you get the right return for the right voter.
So return is not a keyword in this, in that sense.
No.
That it returns
No.
A result from the function.
It's a free name here that I introduced.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I introduce another free name or whatever here. I make a new ret for each time through the loop. This is to get the vote of the individual person, of one particular person, which is the one that's bound to this name with this voter object, voter capability. And I use that voter capability to see what the choice was for that voter, either directly or through a delegate. The choice will take care of that for me. Choice capability.
So ret is a quoted process. No, yes, actually. Ret is a quoted process.
Ret, yeah, ret's an unforgeable name. It's a channel.
Where do you declare? Okay. I saw it. I saw it.
Now I make
Okay.
I make it a process because we send processes to receive names or whatever.
Okay, return.
Okay, so now I get that person, that voter's choice back, their vote, and I get the current map of counts.
Where does ret receive a message from? From
Ret is going to be okay. The pattern here is 3 arguments, right?
yeah.
Voter object. So the if we look at choice here, we see that it has 3 arguments. The first one is choice. First thing is constant, and there's a return here. So that return gets either written here or here. Okay, so
Okay.
if the delegate, okay, and then if it calls the delegate, it gets returned here. Because if the delegate voted, it's going to call the return. Recursive, I mean, I'm calling the same contract, but actually I have a different voter object. Here I have the delegate's voter object, which, when I call it, becomes the vote, is the voter. So it returns the delegate's vote here, which is the same as here. So and here we call it ret. So in the choice it gets written to.
But this is in a context of loop, basically.
Yeah. Well, I gave it an arbitrary name here. I could have called it return. I just created a channel for it to return on. I passed that channel to the choice. So the choice is going to write the result, the vote, to that channel that I passed it, whatever I called it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so then
Empty set. Yeah, it's an empty set.
and I read the vote that what the person's choice was, and I read the map of the current counts. Now I'm going to write back to the count channel the counts that I got back, but I'm going to set the thing they voted on, or what their vote was, to what the counts for that vote was before, or else 0. Okay, so this is just a quick way of saying, well, if this is the first vote for Lincoln, the previous count was 0. I don't find it.
Okay.
I could have put the logic outside of there here, but it's actually a little bit of a pain since Rholang doesn't yet have the let operation. And without the let, it's hard to put that kind of logic in. So I take what the value was plus 1. So I add 1 to the count for what the user voted on. And then I call the loop again with the tail. That's the rest of the users. And
yep, the rest.
I get the act back. Now I could have, yeah. And so that will, when there's no more left in the map, no more users left in the map, then I read the counts for each of the proposals and return that. Got it? Oh. And then we have our test program here, which I'd like to clarify a bit. I basically didn't modify what Dan had on this original contract here. It's a little weird. But I call the ballot proposal with a set, Lincoln and Douglas, for the vote. And it returns a channel. I read the channel. I get the admin and the tally capability. I don't know if I should call that admin here. I'm going to call it admin. Chairperson is actually more specific, but for some reason it was confusing. Okay, so I get those 2 capabilities, and then I give 3 people the right to vote. Owens, Jim Scarver, and Aviation Hacker. And I'm going to add to this Mom. What is it? Mama?
Chilov, CH.
Momocillo?
V on the end. And the fourth letter, you can delete the fourth letter. Yeah.
Momocillo. How do you say that?
Momchilov.
Momocillo. Sounds easy.
Close enough.
Okay, well, I gave you
Right to vote.
the right to vote, and you don't have your own channel here. So I'll just put Trace here. Whoops. What is going on here? And this is, I guess, introducing some more indeterminacy to the whole thing. But oh, since I don't get it back, we can't vote. Can't vote. You don't get the voter object back. But we can make you a delegate. Oh, if you can't vote, what good does it do to make you a delegate? So I'll forget that for now. Okay, so so we created 4 voters there, and 1 we're throwing away for now. We could add another channel and wait for another channel. And I won't do that right now. And then we delegate V3. V3 is really Aviation Hacker. We could make that. It would be a lot clearer here if we use names rather than these cryptic things. I'm just going to delegate to Jim Scarver. What? Did I screw that up? Let me undo this again. Oh. Okay, so Ollie delegates to Jim Scarver, and then he delegates to Owen, I guess. Then V1 is Owens. Owens votes for Douglas. Then Owens for Lincoln. Owens votes for Abe Lincoln. And V2 and Jim Scarver votes for Lincoln. And then I tally the results. I read the results. That's interesting. And
V is a voter. Okay, so V represents a voter from Okay.
Yeah, these
Right.
he he has V1 channel, V2 channel, right, voter 3 channel. And then I didn't add another channel yet. I just traced the output here.
Mm-hmm.
And then do the votes. Okay, so if I can write this now, and R-node eval percent is the current file. And I bungled the bungle. Hey, what did I do? Bungle plus anybody see the error here? Bundle. Oh, bungle.
Bungle.
Yeah, bundle.
I always do that. I always bungle like bundle.
Bungle.
And it ran, getting these errors. Now, if I look in the robot
Right.
channel here, I can see creating ballot return.
Can you add me to the Colab server? I don't think I'm in there.
Can I add you? I can invite people.
Okay.
I guess you're not my friend.
I'll add you. Hmm.
I can always give you the link. Yeah, accept you. It looks like you didn't add me.
I'll add you in a bit.
I mean, I can just give you the link.
Okay.
Oh, where's the chat? Chat's not coming up for some reason. There it is. Wow, is it slow? There's the invite. Now, this wasn't actually supposed to come here, but because it thinks that the robot channel is where it's working, it puts the output here. It didn't used to do that. This is a more recent bug. Where we normally look is at robot.net/rnode-log.
Was there any definition of where it outputs? How does it know what to output in that particular channel on Discord?
Well, Okay, this is the log, the server log. That's where it outputs, right?
Yeah.
And then in the server.js, okay, it does a tail on that, the home rchain rnode.log, and if it matches data as opposed to all the other noise we get in the log, then okay, it looks for define, executes to define. It looks for events, it executes events.
Current message. Okay.
Otherwise,
okay. I get it.
If it thinks there's a current message, it puts it in the channel.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why it thinks there's a current message here. Current message is available, which I set when somebody starts something, and then I reset it when it's finished. But it looks like the reset when it's finished doesn't work properly. And that's a bug I introduced recently. And I think it has to do with, oh, you know what? It is, it looks for the cost message in the output. Okay, and because it's getting this error, it never gets a cost message. So it doesn't know that it's done. That's another, in other words, the last message we always get from the eval is the cost of the transaction, the deploy cost. And we don't get that message. Okay. See if it finds the cost account here, the cost.
Yep.
It sets the current message to null, so that it won't. It doesn't write the message to any channel. But as long as, but because of this bug, and if I restart our node, this bug should go away. I'm not sure. But then it won't put it in the channel.
When you restart our node, okay, how does it track where in the file it is the last line displayed? Does it remember the last line that it output?
Well, okay, this is
Done.
This is interesting. So I don't think it gets the cost from the log here. Here's where it finds the deployment cost. Oh well, let's not get into this now. I forget what's actually in there, but we can just ignore that for now. So in any case, we can see whether we look at whether we look at the actual log here, or whether we look at the channel, we can see that we had 2 non-voters. We had 1 vote for Douglas and 1 vote for Lincoln. And I think it worked okay. Of course, the last time I got 3 votes. There could be some indeterminacy here. Non-determinacy. But we can see this here, that it did a where is it? Oh, it didn't show it. I didn't have the debugging on, so it cut out certain things. But if we look here, we see that it did define ballot as this registry name, row ID DGSAN.
What's the registry for? What does it do?
Well, otherwise, if I didn't register ballot, there's no way I can get it. There's no way I can get to it unless it's registered, because the context where I declared it no longer exists. Okay, I did a new ballot here at the top, which when it reached the end bracket here, the name's gone. I can't access the name anymore. But because I registered it and I output this special format log entry, define ballot as URI. Now, in Discord, I can do a echo $ ballot, and I get that so now if I look at my ballot contract macros, I can see I have a new ballot, and I can show the ballot.
The contract.
And I can see that it looks up $ballot. It gets the address of the ballot channel. It calls new ballot with the set choice. So if I say, I can say new ballot and give it a set, a name. Okay, I guess I already had one of these color ballots. But that will, that's a bogus error. They added the ballot. There we go. What? Oh boy. I think I may have goofed here. The way that I share these permissions is with the mailbox.
Permissions?
Well, there were capabilities returned for this directory to me. You can see that it did a send to my username, ballot name with the chair and a get winner. Okay, which this is the admin, and this is the tally. The names have changed, but the function is basically the same. So I can see that in my inbox already, I have a ballot color. I have a chair and a get winner. So I was going to change the names of these, but those are the permissions I have. So if so now I can allow someone to vote and vote on the issue. Which I have one ballot called colors that I created before, and one I created now for colors. Now, I could redefine these right names now. But I don't know. Yeah, I got all the names have changed in the new contract because that's a little bit of a pain. But really the next thing I do is create essentially the community, and then have add members to the community. And you can see here, we have an allow all to vote, which would let everyone in a directory vote. And so setting that up first for the Colab directory so that everyone who registers can vote in the Colab. by default. It'll let everyone vote. But we have flexibility to determine who the voters are. And so being a Colab member would let you vote for Colab, whereas to vote as an R-Chain member, you would have to be added as an R-Chain member. And that could be something with, you could potentially use the member role in Discord. To determine that. Well, I'm not sure what the best thing to do here. We can just verify that I can oh, yeah, it's a little confusing here. I can call these as functions or as commands. Can't do both. As a command, I just put the arguments.
So behind the scenes, there's an R node running where this executes.
Right. So now I have a voter object in my inbox.
What's an inbox?
Well, that's in the locker, in your locker. The locker is where you have all your private stuff. It's Dan Connolly's locker contract. Right now, it uses toy keys, basically. In my locker right now, I have didn't I just print it out? Yeah. I have the Colab directory, which I have a grant capability, a read capability, and a write capability. So I can add members to the directory. And I have these two ballots I could vote on. I mean, there's I can chat, Jim Scarver, hi me. That will put something in my that will put something else in my inbox, which now if I can peek at everything, I'll still have everything there, or I can do a rechat, which I think it's maybe. No, it doesn't. And I get a check from Jim Scarborough behind me. So the inbox Um, has read, write, peek capabilities. It stores nothing in the box initially. And it has a read with one argument, a read with two arguments, and a read with three arguments, depending on how specific you want to be about what you want to read. You can read everything. You can read everything of a particular type, everything of a type and subtype. Like a particular ballot would be color. So it would be type ballot, subtype color. Just a mechanism for passing around capabilities and communicating. And then there's the read, there's the peek, which doesn't take things out of the mailbox. And then there's the write, which anybody can write to your mailbox as it stands. It publishes your inbox it does a define of your inbox. So that's interesting. Anybody can write your inbox, or why can't they read it? It's like I didn't put the bundle here. How could that be? I mean, this looks like a definite bug here. Bundle plus inbox. Type make my locker a colon.
Is it Mom's Love, or did you want me to do it as well?
How about monologue? Mom's Your Love. Go to the robot channel.
Okay.
I suppose we probably should be in the box, the testing channel. And,
so I should type in
all lowercase, make my locker, colon. I want to replace that with the register thing option that lets you register for voting and assigning yourself a default delegate. But it's a work in progress. Make my channel colon. Enter. Oh, you're typing. Okay. No. Make my locker.
read my lock. Meet my locker.
Make.
What?
Make. Make my locker. That's correct, right?
Ah, okay.
Now, it should be colon, not semicolon. Colon at the end, not a semicolon.
It's a column.
Colon.
Column.
Like I did on the rechat here. All the commands end with a colon.
So make my locker.
Colon. There's no colon in the middle. Just one word, make my locker, then a colon.
Ah, okay.
There we go. That should do something. Okay. Now you have a locker. So now I can allow to vote.
Where is that?
Whoa. Illegal character $sign at 1610. Octonauts undefined or a wrong number of R's. That's interesting. Locker knots. Why did that happen? That's because I spelled your name wrong. Believe it or not.
Yeah. Allowed to vote. Can I do that?
You can't. You don't have permission to allow people to vote on color.
It's
Toy private and public key is associated with your Discord identity.
Ah.
Mom. Your love. Did I get that right that time? Color. Oops. Okay,
Yeah,
I should be able to vote. Hey, you should be able to vote now. Okay, there's my vote. Huh. It looks like it was still finishing my voting before it finished, before it started, did yours. But looks like we both voted. So if now I do I guess I do a vote results. Color. Wait a second. What happened here?
Who voted red?
I voted red.
Who else? You didn't vote twice. You can't. And blue.
Interesting. Very interesting. We just did. I just didn't allow to vote here, Jim Scarper. I'm wondering if it could be confused because we had a ballot before. That really doesn't make any sense. Have you been vote? Oh, Audie's gone, huh? I'm wondering if and of course he couldn't vote anyway. Well, maybe I need to add some debugging to tally to see who it thinks voted what. I'm wondering if I did something funny here. See, here's a vote from yesterday.
Yep. So
That's
it's remember the votes from yesterday.
That was interesting because I don't know how that happened. I'm a little bit confused. Got four votes. Got four votes. It's almost as if the vote for each one was doesn't make any sense. Oh well.
Do you keep the ballot under version control?
Well, only when I've committed it, but I didn't commit it yet. Are you editing ballot also?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
No, I'm not. I'm not writing to it, so you can.
Yeah. Um, so in the tally here, I'm getting a name. And a vote. Okay, I'm creating a new counts every time. So I can, I'll put a list, name, comma, vote. And I can show the counts each time. I already went through this debug. I debugged this already. I don't understand how it could be wrong. Okay, and I'm going to do an eval pound include vote ballot dot row. And we can see there's a little bit of non-determinism in there, and we got a little bit different results this time. We only got one nil. We got two for Lincoln and one for Douglas, which I still have to figure that out. But now if we do a new ballot, and we'll call it dinner. Make it a set. Pizza and veggies. Okay, and then we do an allow. Oh, I can do a send. I can send you all these permissions, let you be an admin.
Okay.
Well, let's keep it simple for now. Allow to vote.
That's M-O-M. Yeah. L-O-V. Yeah, that's it. Ah, those are racing conditions. Because you don't know at what point one channel receives a message, basically. Could that be the reason?
Not that could be a reason for us getting different results from the test because everything isn't synchronized.
Everything isn't synchronized.
Yeah,
Can you
I can
elaborate?
look back at the test there, but it looks like I just took it from Dan, and he did at least one vote that wasn't synchronized. So try to vote on dinner.
Okay.
I don't know why it doesn't say anything. It looks like it didn't work. It should have said sent or something. Yeah, it didn't find it. For some reason, the allow to vote didn't work. So apparently what happens is we vote. Something didn't work.
Yeah, I did vote.
What I think happened was we added votes to a previous.
Well, that's a different channel. Testing bots. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in testing bots. Yeah, it looks like that's not found. Now I don't know why we didn't get the error when we did the allowed to vote. But
contract.
Sorry. If I look at my inbox, I see there is a dinner ballot here. Ballot dinner. And has a chair and it has a get winner. But when I do an allow to vote, let me look at the log here. See, dinner not found. Dinner not found. Dinner not found. I don't know what's.
No reverse. Ah.
If something happened when I mean, this looks okay. If I look at it's allowed to vote here. Let me do an echo. Allowed to vote Jim Schroeder dinner. See what that does. Okay, it looks up the locker for my username. It puts in my private key and my locker nonce. And it does a peek. Oh, it gets a peek. Okay, and then it finds the chair. Well, so it looks for the ballot dinner, and it gets the chair out of that. And it gives right to vote. Well, see, it didn't do anything. This time when I said give right to vote, it didn't say anything.
What? I didn't vote?
We didn't get any output from it.
No, it didn't. No, I didn't.
Allowed to vote. Okay.
Why does it return this gRPC message exceeds maximum size?
That's because the running node, I guess the tuple space is too big. Yeah, see, it's not finding dinner there, and it does the same thing when I do this. The allow to vote, for some reason, is not doing any output, which is suggesting that it's not finding the chair. Then it runs on the chair, give right to vote, and that would provide output, and it always did before. But somehow it looks like that's broken now. And the reason the color one voted was because there already was a color one at work. And the way it's set up here is you can't update the permissions for the same thing. So we were actually accessing the old color ballot that already existed. And that's why we had wrong counts, because we added votes to the counts that were already there. So this dinner is here, but this chair is not running. So for some reason, when we're reading the mailbox here, We're not getting a chair. Why not? Big ballot dinner. Ballot dinner. I mean, this is something that was working fine. What could be possibly wrong with it?
So is this the same code as the valid.row that executes on the channel?
Yeah. In fact, I defined it on the channel right here. Include ballot.row.
Oh, okay.
And whether or not I did, it's the same. There's only one R node running on robot.net. So what we're seeing here in the log is the same thing that is in the log here. Pizza not found. And we can see where it was defined. And I guess the issue here is why is the give right to vote not working?
Okay, so under my name, the admin declarations, mine is with a trace instead of with a channel, with a voter channel. Do you remember where we declared the nicknames?
I'm not following you. Oh, the trace. The trace is standard error. It goes to the same place as standard out to a log.
Okay, yeah. But let me check. V2.
So I'm going to just copy this code, do a backquote scala to get some highlighting. I'm going to paste this in here. And I'm just going to, I don't know what this has some. And I assume that it's not getting this far, right? So I'm going to do a standard out and dot chair. Let's see if we got here. Oops, I forgot to do an eval. Erg. So I have to do an eval of this. Let me just delete this other one. Confuses. I did an eval. What I said, I did the eval on line 2 and put a space in front of it. Okay. Yeah, there's a space in the line here. Commands have to. Oops. Oh, standard. There's a standard out here.
Deterministic, unforgeable names.
So why is standard out not defined here? I guess I have to take the standard out from here. And put it here. I seem to I should, oh, I got extra comma here. Okay. Got chair. So I got the chair.
Let me
I
see.
do it, give right. I know what's wrong.
What's wrong?
Now, in the new one, we give the name of the person. And I didn't give the name of the person. Okay, so
Give misspelled.
oh, and it's wrong. It's allow to vote. Okay, and so I need to give right to vote. I have to give a dollar user. Okay.
Are you changing this in the file when you
No, this is the macro that calls it. Have you used C or C++?
well, define, but that's for constants. Is it
No,
not?
it's strictly string substitution. Okay, so I define this. It has macros in it like peak. Um, and it takes arguments like user and ballot, and it substitutes in user and ballot. When we look at what it's up, this is what it actually runs. And we can see that for the user, it put in Jim Scarver. For the ballot, it put in dinner. It's macro substitution. This is allowed to vote macro. If you look at the pinned items in the robot channel, you'll find information on Rholang. But now I redefine the allowed to vote. So now, if I do an allowed to vote, it should tell us that that succeeded, that was sent. Sent. And likewise, we can do
CHILOV.
I'm and it's sent. So now you have the right to vote on dinner. So I understand why we got wrong counts before, because we were actually running an old ballot. It never ran the new ballot because I already have a ballot of that name in my permissions, and the way I have it set up is you can't overwrite. You can add capabilities, you can't take them away or change them. I forgot a comma.
Oh,
You forgot a comma.
yeah.
Okay. I think it worked, although he's doing them both at the same time there.
At the same time, how do you know?
Oh, wait, unknown proposal.
Valid proposal. Unknown proposal, dinner. Valid proposal. The first one. So the first vote you did was dinner, dinner. Instead of voting on a dish, you voted on dinner.
Oh,
That's why.
No. Vote on.
How do you list the ballots?
What I do? What I do? What, you put the vote first.
No,
What I?
the vote is second.
Hmm.
The ballot is dinner, and the vote is pizza. On mine.
I don't understand why it said dinner not found. I didn't allow to vote, right? Urgh. I have a ballot dinner, but I don't have a vote on dinner.
So could I do the same? Peak. What does this show me? Nil. In my case, why?
Somehow it didn't get sent. It says it was sent. Allowed to vote, Jim Scarver, dinner. I spelled it wrong. Oh, I got it backwards again. Okay, so this says that it sent it, but apparently it didn't. Ballot directory doesn't have vote. Let's look at show to vote. Send the user vote ballot. Vote.
New.
Let's do a echo. And so this is the code that was executed.
So this is the interpolation.
This is what the macro generates. Right. Okay, this doesn't show everything. It doesn't show my private key and stuff. Personal macros. But it substitutes everything else. So when it says sent, where does it say sent? So it writes to the inbox, vote, dinner, vote. And then this is coming to standard out, which I think is where it says the sent.
Found in locker.
So this sent period here is this sent period here. It says that I put back in the box the items plus the message. So I don't know how it could, and the message that he sent was vote, dinner, plus the voter capability. Vote, dinner, vote. But when we look in the inbox, we don't see it. Oh, what am I talking about? It's right here. Vote, dinner, and this should be the voter capability here. I'm sorry, it's there. Somehow I didn't see it. Okay, so it is in my box, so I should be able to vote. It makes sense. I couldn't do it. It worked. Now, did you get it in your inbox? Did we?
I'll check.
Where is your inbox?
So when I voted, echo inbox. What was the command? Echo.
I don't know what I did wrong here. Let's see, results.
Yeah, it worked. But why two pizzas? Oh, two pizzas.
So something is wrong here. Why didn't it print
Two
out? I know why.
You're breaking. I can barely hear you for
Oh,
some reason.
okay. I know I printed this out. Okay, it prints out what it was before the vote. So before I voted, it was nothing. Before you voted, it was pizza. Before it processed it. And this is the final, two pizzas. So this is a little bit confusing now that I added this back in, which I guess I should take it out again.
Maybe make a new ballot?
Yeah, well, I put debugging in here. Okay, where I put out
Trace counts.
I put the name in the vote, and then I did the counts. This, at least this one has to go. Now, I guess I could leave the other printout there. It shows what each person voted. I'll leave that in for now, but I'm taking out this and this. That was for just for debugging, and it's confusing. And I can run it from here or there. What was that?
This is the test code.
If I run it from here, it's more transparent. You see why it's printing this out. Like I said, normally it wouldn't show this on in this channel, except it's not getting the valid message here at the end to know when it ends.
Yeah.
Because of that bug. And I don't understand. I entered the bug report on that and it was deleted. I guess I have to see why it was deleted.
You submitted that on in Jira?
Yeah. Yeah. I put a bug in there. In fact, Kelly requested I put the bug in there. And I'm not sure why it was deleted.
I need to look at some Rholang code because the whole session is still mind-boggling. I mean, I kind of understand, but it's a bit backwards, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, it's very different. And
yeah, it is. It is quite different to sequential execution.
Yeah, and I guess with considering all the concurrency problems that can happen on a distributed network, it's the right way to do stuff. But it's definitely a different way of thinking.
Yes. But it is possible. I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, little things like this, when I call the loop here,
Yeah.
initially I had the loop outside this 4. And what was happening then was it was adding up everybody's vote at the same time in parallel, which was actually okay, except I didn't know when, I couldn't tell when it had processed the last one.
Yeah.
Okay, in other words, I could print it out and then I could wait and print it out again, and each time they would have some more votes in it.
Mm.
By putting the loop here, it waits for the one person's vote before it starts adding the next person.
It's a whole new way of thinking about things.
Yeah. And, I'm still not convinced as to whether I need this ret or not anymore. I may not need this ret. It won't hurt, but every time through the loop it makes a new ret. So this ret is guaranteed to be this voter. Question is, do I really care? Well, maybe I do. Because if I call the last one and it returns real quick, matching the null set here, it might not have added that last voter yet. But because it has to read the count channel before it can return the counts, I know that this write to the count channel of the last voter is going to happen this loop is going to be called after it reads the count channel. So if it were to try to read the count channel again here, it couldn't read it until this write was complete, because there would be nothing on the channel. So this guarantees that I have total, putting the loop here guarantees that I have the all the votes before I print the result. And I probably confused you more than I helped you with that, right?
It is confusing. It's very confusing for now. No.
Yeah, that's it.
Go through the tutorials, I think.
Yeah.
Once again.
Yeah.
I mean, there are new constructs that I wasn't aware of. So I generally know what everything means, but it needs getting used to. Definitely. How long?
And even after being away from it for a few days, it's easy to get confused, or at least it's easy for me to get confused.
Oh. Is that your dog?
Yeah,
oh.
That's my dog. Oh.
Beautiful dog.
No kissing in public.
What's his or her name? His or her name?
His name is Felix.
Felix?
Yeah. And he's
beautiful.
Yeah. Oh. He says, time for a WALK.
Okay, Jim.
Yeah, thanks for hanging in there and welcome.
I didn't do anything.
It helped get a couple helped me get a couple of bugs out anyway. It's always good to get some other eyes on here and have an excuse to go through and test things. In fact, this loading stuff is almost impossible to test by yourself.
Well, I'll definitely stick around more. I will try and stick around more.
Yeah, well, I guess your work schedule makes it tough.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. But the 2 o'clock is 7 o'clock, right? Your time?
2 o'clock New York time. Let me check.
This week it's only 4 hours. This week.
2 p.m. New York time.
Yeah.
It's 6 o'clock London time.
Right, this week, but next week it's 7 o'clock.
Yeah. So it would be good. Is it on Thursday again?
We actually have one on Monday. Well, we have work studies at 2 o'clock on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
Okay. Do you have a calendar that I can subscribe to?
Yeah, the Arching Community Calendar. It's a community calendar, so Ian hasn't announced it formally. A lot of people have admin role in it. Like if you want an admin role in it, you can have it. You want to schedule stuff.
I think I am subscribed to that one. That's how I got into the members. That's how I got into this meeting.
Really?
I believe so, yes.
So you see Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday work studies? And then
so the next event is on the 16th. So in 2 days, it's community building,
right.
Storytelling and test cases. Yeah, same one. Yes, I have access to that.
Yeah, and this one's often very good also. Dan Connolly's office hour. If he comes, sometimes he doesn't come. And sometimes.
But Ian, who's on the board?
Yeah, Ian hasn't come in a long time.
Is he still active?
Yeah. He and I were the only two in the governance committee meeting today.
Okay. What happened to Evan? He doesn't show up anymore. Evan Jensen.
No. No, his engagement, I'm not surprised he's not engaged much now. He's never been engaged.
He sold me the rocks when on the crowd sale. He sent me the rocks when the crowd sale was undergone.
He was the internal counsel, but he really, he was supposedly chairman of the nominations committee and all things, but he just wasn't engaged. and he always seemed to be a little bit overly negative on most everything.
Mm.
So I'm sort of not surprised that he's gone now. But he was the internal counsel for our chain.
Yeah, for the legal stuff, I remember.
Yeah. So yeah. But I'm not sure how long ago it was, but I know they got a new attorney at some point. And they hadn't been around for a long time. So, although I don't know who the new attorney is, I guess he's not around either.
Do you think this project will survive?
Absolutely. I mean, whether it's the core developers, the active community members, or the enthusiasts like Joshi and Dan and those. I mean, whether the people have any attachment to the co-op or the Greg, they're dedicated to making this work.
Yes, and we have an advantage over other projects, I think, in terms of community.
Yeah, well,
and in terms of the way we do things as well. Yeah. Because this was quite eye-opening today. Thank you.
Sure.
And I will continue attending these meetings, I think.
Maybe you can be my partner in developing this liquid democracy stuff.
I will try. I need to go through the constructs, the cheat sheet, and there was this function, a get. What was the function called? Get or else, for example. I didn't know what that was about, but I'm guessing it's either or type of stuff. Get or else. Is that a function at all?
Yeah, get the element, and if the element doesn't exist,
set a value.
Return this value instead.
Okay, yeah, and return this value instead. That's what I meant.
Yeah, and
that's not in the cheat sheet, though.
Not,
I looked.
It's not. Uh-oh. Where's the cheat sheet? I lost the cheat sheet.
I have it here.
I'll just open it again.
Is Learn Rholang being updated? The tutorial on the co-op website?
I'm not sure. I think it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
You're
hasn't
right.
changed in a few months.
Not here, huh?
I will download.
Get or else is there for maps. Whoops. Yeah, Getter, or else is there? Under maps.
Maps. Get or oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Just found
Right.
it.
And if you go below it there, you see that there's errata, or whatever, however you say it, the Boolean operators, crypto channels, anti-shadowing operators.
Yeah, logical operators.
Yeah, those
I
are
need a few examples of those.
what, the logical.
Well, this
If you
is great.
if you look at the ballot contract,
I will download it locally. And you use a Vim plugin to.
yeah, I use a Scala. I do that. Uh, uh, yeah, I use VimRC. I have whoa. What did I do? I hope I didn't break anything. In .MRC, I have this.
Scala. Oh, it's a Scala syntax.
Yeah, it's not really correct, but it's best we can
Close enough. Yeah.
do. It's
I think there was a plugin somewhere, but that's for other editors, I think. There was the Atom editor, there was Visual Studio plugin, and there was IntelliJ.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and there is a community plugin for syntax highlighting for Vim, apparently. Have you seen this? The repository I posted.
Yeah. Oh, for Vim and Emacs, huh? Well, I guess we should get that to work on the. This is a different way of assigning it than what we're using for Scala. Oh, to get it to work, let's set it up on the ArtChain account on Robot.
Okay, I can do that.
Awesome. You're terrific. So I think the vote was for dinner. I guess I better put the pizza on, huh?
Okay, yeah. Walk, Felix.
Right. Where did he go? Oh, I have Boo down here. Hey, Boo. You sleeping? He's the other guy. What you doing, Boo? Come on up. What are you waking me up for? I have a nap here. Come on, Boo. Boo, Boo. He says, I don't want to move. He's a little bit older. And here comes my honey. I hear her sliding along. So, you stop by on Sunday morning, or I guess it's not morning for you. It's
Sorry, you were breaking just now.
so you're planning to stop by on Saturday?
Possibly. Not sure yet.
Yeah.
I'll stop by when I can,
Yeah.
when I have the opportunity.
All right. Great working with you, and hope to see you again soon. Take care.
Thanks, Jim. That was nice. You too.